Hide all you wish. It will not help you. I can hear it. The thudding of your heart in your chest, growing faster as only now do you realize the depth of your mistake in coming here. I can hear it gaining speed as much as I can smell the fear in the air. Pray to Sigmar if you wish, but he cannot help you. Not here, not now.
The Thirsting Court, Lords of the Undead, Vampires, Gravelords. All of these and more are appropriate monikers for the creatures who haunt the Knights of the Realms. Diverse in appearance and action, but unified through thirst, these horrors hunt mortals in all the 8 realms and work tirelessly to extend their reach to yet further killing fields. If we are to understand these creatures, we must understand where they come from and why they act. Like all undead, the Soulblight Gravelords are creations of Nagash, the great necromancer and god of the dead. Nagash has been a powerful necromancer since even before the forming of the 8 realms, and was present at the destruction of the world that was. So it came as no surprise that when the realm of Shyish coalesced from the energies of death magic, that Nagash, so intrinsically tied to them, formed alongside it. Nagash would have there be no other rulers than himself in the lands of Shyish, and quickly after obtaining his freedom with the help of Sigmar, he began to plot to conquer the entirety of the underworlds, and subsume the pretender gods who ruled over them. Realizing he would need generals for this task, he created the first vampires from the wisps of soul material around him. These would be Manfred von Karstein, the Queen Neferata, and Ashuran. While Ashuran would go on to suffer even further abomination and create the Flesh-Eater Courts, Manfred and Neferata would conquer large swathes of Shyish in Nagash's name, and rule over it as a midnight aristocracy throughout the Age of Myth. During this age, Manfred and Neferata would grant mortals which they deemed worthy of such power the Blood Kiss, which confers the Soulblight curse to a mortal, creating new vampires. These creations would go forth to sire their own lineages, passing the curse down and through the ages as each generation of Soulblight in turn created further and further more of their kin. The curse spread out of Shyish and into each of the other realms. As mortal citizens of each realm are shaped and influenced by magic inherent to their realm, so too are the Soulblight who call these realms home. Each soul-blighted vampire is a repository of corrupted Shyishian death magic, warped into necromantic energies, and this is what makes the vampires different from the other servants of Nagash. The ghosts of the Night Haunt are brought forth in areas saturated in death magic, and the necromancers commanding undead legions command the strands of death winds found in all the realms. However, the vampires are suffused by it. It would not be incorrect to think of the process by which one is cursed with the Soulblight as the removing of the soul and its replacement with an abundance of Shyishian and necromantic magics. Once infested, the mortal bearing the curse will begin to transform into a shape that could be mistaken at a distance as a tall human, but upon closer inspection will be found to have pallid skin, angled facial features, sharp teeth, long claw-like fingers and nails, and an unsettling scarlet hue to their eyes. While many vampires will put on an air of high society pomposity, they are never more than a momentary lapse of control from becoming a bloodthirsting monstrosity and showing the realms their true form. Manfred and Neferata can be found in the lineage of every vampire in the mortal realms. However, after many generations, bloodlines would diverge into a varied assortment of dynasties, which would develop their own eccentricities, with some adapting the trappings of mortality, while others embrace their new bestial nature, ensuring that no two soul-blighted are exactly the same in mannerisms or appearance. Eventually, vampires of like minds began to form together into dynastic houses based around shared physical characteristics or philosophies of managing their insatiable hunger. The most noble of these dynastic lines are the Virkros, the Avangori, and the Castelli. Hailing from the frozen forests of Shyish, the Virkros dynasty seeks to balance the cunning and intellect of their mortal human forms with the animalistic nature of their curse. Their dynastic legend holds that they were originally granted the gift of this immortality by the god-beast Hrunspul, known as the Hound of the Cairns. Each member of the Virkos dynasty shares traits with one of the totemic predators venerated in their tribalistic culture, with the wolf being by far the most common of these deviations from the more traditional vampiric form. Members of the Vierkros may develop elongated lupine limbs and claws or manes of frost, while others may develop bare thick hides. While the members of the Vierkros cherish these gifts, it also limits their numbers, as when granted the potent blood kiss of the Vierkros, mortals often devolve into raging beasts without any form of higher thought, which can endanger the secrecy of a brood. This has caused the Vierkros to be extremely selective when they grant the blood kiss to a mortal, and has created a culture amongst the dynasty of tight pseudo-familial bonds. The rise of the era of the beast has been difficult on the Vierkros, causing a host of them to lose their minds to animal savagery. Lurking beneath the dunes in Gur are the monstrous forms of the Avangori. These vampires believe that only by embracing their twisted nature can they truly understand what it means to be soul-blighted and be worthy of the gifts of Nagash. Beastmasters of the vampiric lords, most Avangori have mutated to no longer be able to take a truly humanoid shape, considering themselves blessed to be in closer connection with the horrible nature of their power. Those born into the dynasty without this blessing will be forced to undergo agonizing rituals designed to encourage them to mutate alongside their brethren. Many of the Avangori are insane with the nature of their curse, but this does not mean that they should be taken lightly. When called to battle, they will be joined by swarms of necrotic creatures such as Terrorgeist and zombified dragons, and the Avangori expertise in willing these creatures to violence makes them a fearsome foe indeed. Seated high in their teleporting fortress, looking down at the lesser beings, the Knights of the Castelli dynasty are marked by their mastery of martial pursuits. Devotees of the arts of war, the Castelli paint a picture of dark majesty and chivalric conduct, and many of these vampires, in their own minds, may even believe it. However, what truly unites the Castelli is their love of slaughter and their disdain for any being they view as lesser. While the Vierkros and the Avangori seek to slate their thirst by embracing the animalistic, the Castelli will only indulge their thirst against those who they best in open combat. So vain are these vampiric knights that they will dive headlong into overwhelming odds just to be seen as savagely fighting their way free. While any vampire may seek to join the Castelli, they will first need to overcome the trials of initiation to prove they are worthy of riding alongside these Castellans of the Crimson Keep. Above the dynasties are the legions, headed by the original vampires and mortarchs. Manfred von Karstein rules over the Legion of the Night, which embodies the living's fear of the undead. While all vampires are intrinsically skilled with necromantic powers, the masters of the Legion of the Night take this to a new level, commanding hordes of shambling deadwalker zombies whose attacks can turn those bitten into just another of the rotting host, and wolves raised from the dead to hunt alongside vampiric masters. The Legion of the Night embodies Manfred's willingness to employ any tactic and encourage any method to capture additional territory for the Legion. Queen Neferata leads the Legion of Blood, and to see its pendants being carried above the lockstep ranks of skeleton is to know that you have already been defeated. While the martial might of the Legion of Blood is not to be underestimated, their true strength comes from their subtlety. Conspiracy, treachery, subterfuge, and espionage are the best weapons in Neferata's arsenal, and she keeps a keen eye for mortals who play these games better than most, to assure that her legions are always run by vampiric commanders who assure victory before ever taking the field. While Manfred's Legion of the Night may drown their enemies in the freshly raised corpses of friends, Neferata's enemies find that critical orders go missing during pivotal moments of the battle, that their weapons rust away in their hands, and that their muscles lack the strength to even lift their armor as the crushing tide of skeletons descends upon them. For all their pomposity and dark majesty, regardless of sire, creed, or dynasty, each vampire is nothing more than a puppet of Nagash. They may occasionally fight amongst each other, seeking to extend their own power and lands, but in the end, like all undead, they will serve Nagash. Some may be under the delusion that they can escape his grip, or that they operate without his watchful eyes upon them, but this is all a ruse. Nagash pulls the strings of the puppet masters of the Legion of Blood, and his force of will can tame even the hordes of the Legion of Night. Even in his weakened state following the rise of the Era of the Beast and the conclusion of the Soul Wars, Nagash holds the reins of these midnight parasites and twists them ever towards his goal. though he leaves the terrible methods to the trusted hands of his soul-blighted lords.